In section 5.4, we are looking at different methods that we can use to count the number of ways that something can happen or the number of outcomes in a particular experiment. And the main thing to note first here is when you have multiple things that are happening, this talks about a sequence of several operations, but basically you have, multiple choices that have to be made. The main thing to note is when you want to look at the number of outcomes, you can take each operation individually, count the number of outcomes for just that one operation, and then multiply to get the total. All right, so in some situations, it's very straightforward. You can see exactly what's happening. You can see exactly what choices have to be made. This is the example that was done in your notes. We have to basically select two things, right? We have to select a color, of which we have 3 choices. We have to select an engine size, of which we have 2 choices. And so the number of ways that we can make both selections is going to be 6. And these outcomes would look like, I have a red car that's large. I have a red car that's small. I have a blue car that's large. I have a blue car that's small. All right, so another example kind of like this one, where the number of outcomes is very straightforward and is given, is part A on the check your understanding. All right, we're looking at putting together a computer and the different choices that have to be made. We have 3 choices for the hard drive, 4 choices for the amount of memory, 2 choices for the video card, and 3 choices for the monitor. And so the number of ways that we can put all of these things together is going to be found by multiplying each individual number of outcomes together. All right, so 3 times 4 gives me 12. 12 times 2 gives me 24. And 24 times 3 tells me there would be 72 total outcomes, or 72 different possible computer configurations. Now, sometimes you might not be given the number of outcomes outright. You might have to think about it a little bit more. An example of this is here when we're looking at creating license plates. Now, what I am told is what needs to be included. All right, I'm going to create a license plate that contains 3 letters. So I'm just going to kind of jot this out for myself. These are going to be 3 letters followed by 3 digits. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and figure out for myself the number of possible outcomes. So just like there were 3 choices for hard drive, if I look at each individual letter and I think about the number of choices that I have, there are 26 letters in the alphabet. So that means this first letter can be any one of those 26. Okay, we're counting the number of possible outcomes. Now, this one doesn't say anything about not being able to repeat. So that means each of the other 2 letters have the same 26 possible outcomes. If it said letters could not repeat, then I would have gone 26, 25, 24. All right, now digits on the other hand, we've seen an example kind of like this in 5.1. There are 10 possible digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So the number of choices that I have for the first digit is equal to 10. And again, this one does not tell me that I can't repeat, so I'm going to keep that the same. If I did have something in here that said you can't repeat the digits, then these would have gone 10, 9, and 8. So I've done the same thing as in these other two examples. I've reported the number of outcomes for each. It's just instead of those being given outright, I had to think about what those outcomes would look like. And then once I've counted for each individual, all I'm going to do is multiply to get the total number of outcomes. All right, so if I multiply here, I'm looking at 17,576,000 total outcomes, or in this case, different license plates that can be constructed. All right, if we come back down here to B, B is kind of like this. It doesn't tell me a definite number of outcomes for each individual item, but much like the license plate, it tells me what I have in this quiz. I have 3 true-false questions. So just like I did for the license plate, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to jot that down, and I'm going to make a note for myself that these are 3 true-false questions. Then I have 2 multiple choice questions with 5 choices. So 2 more questions, 1, 2, and these are going to be multiple choice, each one having 5 choices, like A, B, C, D, E. And then if I count the number of outcomes, true-false questions have 2 possibilities, true or false. So each true-false question is going to have 2 individual outcomes. The multiple choice questions, we're told, have 5 choices. So each of those will have 5 total outcomes. And then again, once we've counted them individually, we're just going to multiply to get our total. And that's going to tell me that there would be 200 total outcomes in terms of sets of answers for 3 true-false questions and 2 multiple choice.